Hello, everyone. It is so exciting to see that we are now here at the virtual 9th annual ATHENA Leadership Symposium. My name is Dr. Nika White, and I serve as a senior advisor for the Greenville Chamber's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiative. And let me welcome each of you. We have been expecting you, and we're super excited to hold space for this community as we learn with and from each other, and as we celebrate women and uplift the collective efforts that we all put forth into our communities and our respective organizations every single day. Today is going to be great, and I invite each of you to fully be present and engaged. And I want to thank you for accommodating your schedules to be with us today for this wonderful occasion. So I want to tell you a little bit about what this event is. And as you encounter our time together today, please feel free to share your experience on social media using our official hashtag ATHENA2020. We're on Twitter and Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And we appreciate you in advance for tagging any of your thoughts and sentiments regarding the ATHENA event. So this year, as I mentioned before, it marks the 9th year anniversary, but I do want you to know that we're already planning for 2021. And so mark the calendar, save the date. Right now, we're anticipating being live at the Hyatt Regency in Greenville, but if we need to shift like we did this year and move it to a virtual platform, we are so prepared to do that. But nonetheless, we will not let a year go by without celebrating women's leadership and continuing to pour into all of the women and other individuals that are standing in solidarity as we continue to increase gender parity across so many organizations. I would not be here today, and nor would any of you if it weren't for the wonderful generosity of all of our sponsors. So I want to acknowledge our sponsors at this time, starting with our bronze sponsors. Wright & Co., thank you. Greenville Technical College, thank you. We appreciate you. Grace Outdoor, thank you kindly. Now, for our gold sponsors, BMW Group, Plant in Spartanburg, we really appreciate you. USA Today Network, Floor, Upstate Business Journal, Community Journals, and then also Local IQ, which is part of the Today's Network. Now, we cannot also be here without the wonderful partnership of our marketing and creative sponsor, Peculiar, which is a creative agency that is responsible for all of the marketing communications that has been developed for this year's event. Thank you, Peculiar. And now it is my great pleasure to give such wonderful accolades and appreciation to our returning presenting sponsor for the past several years, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. They have been such a tremendous partner to us, and we appreciate them allowing us to be able to bring this opportunity to this broader community. And so that you get an opportunity to hear directly from Blue Cross and Blue Shield, we now have a video that's going to be presented. And you're going to hear directly from the Director of Community Relations with Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So enjoy this video, and thank you again, Blue Cross Blue Shield, our presenting sponsor.
Here's to the fearless fight, the comeback, the battle against all odds. For some, it's taking the first step. For others, it's forging a new path. A chance to prove to ourselves what we're really made of. And with the name rooted in South Carolina, backed by national strength, even a battered spirit can come back stronger. Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina.
Good afternoon. I'm Elizabeth Nquo Johnson, Director of Community Relations and Corporate Giving for Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina. On behalf of our leadership and my colleagues, I would like to welcome you to the Greenville Chamber's ATHENA Leadership Symposium. Since 2016, we've been honored to be the presenting sponsor of this event, which recognizes the accomplishments of female leadership in the upstate. In addition to its support to the business community, the Greenville Chamber is an advocate for a high quality of life for all the region's citizens and is a respected voice in the community. We believe in its mission and value its important role in cultivating a region that is economically strong, committed to smart growth, and supportive of its diverse communities. We thank the Chamber for creating this event, which over the years has recognized many female leaders that have helped make the upstate a desirable community in which to live, work, and thrive. We value diversity of all kinds and know that representing the people we serve improves organizational performance. For example, research shows there is a positive relation between female leadership and positive organizational performance. We take advantage of that. With more than 10,000 employees, Blue Cross benefits from the expertise and skills of women throughout our organization. And the company is committed to the development and advancement of talented women. In fact, almost 75% of our workforce is female, and 60% of our management in all lines of business is also female. We have female representation on our board, on our executive leadership team, and in a leadership position as CEO of our technology subsidiary. We know the vital role emotional intelligence plays in leadership, and female leaders are often attributed higher levels of emotional intelligence than their male counterparts. Great leaders are self-aware and able to discern their strengths and weaknesses. They manage and lead while avoiding negativity, are aware of other people's strengths and weaknesses, and are able to promote collaborative work environments while limiting conflict. These are the key traits that lead to success not only in the workplace, but in all relationships. But beyond these statistics and data points, we are surrounded by female leaders who are working tirelessly to support the work of a local organization that brings strength and stability to its customers. As 2021 approaches, Blue Cross has had 75 years of strong presence across South Carolina. Throughout this time, we've been a steadfast champion of the community, from sponsoring events, addressing food scarcity issues for vulnerable citizens, working to decrease health disparities through the Blue Cross Foundation, launching the Diabetes-Free South Carolina Initiative, and through our more recent contribution and support of HBCUs across the state. We are proud of the legacy we have built as a top employer and a good corporate citizen, and pleased to join with the Greenville Chamber in today recognizing the important contributions of women who are making our state a better place to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much again to Elizabeth, the Director of Community Relations with Blue Cross Blue Shield, our presenting sponsor of the 9th Annual ATHENA Leadership Symposium. We are so impressed and inspired by the leadership of diversity, equity, and inclusion of Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and we appreciate your leadership throughout our state. So now it gives me great pleasure to talk a little bit about what inspired this ATHENA Leadership Symposium. We have a group of esteemed and very well accomplished women of all walks of life that represent so many different organizations. And they once came together and said, while we are the ATHENA Award recipients, it's not enough for us. We want to make sure that we are carrying the torch forward by lifting as we climb, by identifying ways to be able to center voices around the need to continue to encourage great gender parity, and so that women can take their rightful place of leadership in all sectors of our community. And so that is what inspired the ATHENA Leadership Symposium. And it does me great pleasure to bring up next Dr. Judith Prince, the 2008 ATHENA Award recipient, who is going to provide the introduction of our keynote speaker. And Judy is also part of the ATHENA International Board of Directors. And following Judy, of course, you will hear from our keynote presenter, Carla Harris. And then I'll go ahead and let you know that we have another ATHENA recipient, Deb Schofield, who is going to be facilitating the question and answer period with our keynote speaker for today. And Deb is the 2005 ATHENA recipient. And so I hope you will enjoy. Dr. Prince?
From execution to empowerment. True leaders make leaders. I have learned that the secret to growing your power is to give it away. Expect and strategize to win, and you will. And never let anyone else tell your story. Own your narrative.
Good morning. On behalf of the other 22 recipients of the ATHENA Leadership Award, thank you for joining us today. The ATHENA Leadership Award was given first by the Chamber of Commerce to Pat Haskell Robinson in 2001, and the latest recipient was Deborah McKetty. You will soon have the opportunity to nominate the recipient for 2020. It is the ATHENA Leadership Award recipients, as Nika indicated, who had the vision of bringing you this ATHENA Leadership Symposium as a way of both focusing on women's leadership and celebrating. And today we are celebrating. It is a great day in the upstate because Carla Harris, an extraordinary game changer, is with us. Carla Harris is a leader, an author, a speaker, a singer, a mother, a football fan, a golfer, a prayer warrior, a mentor, a sponsor, and a game changer. So much has been written and said about Carla Harris. She has been known as the Wall Street powerhouse. She's the woman who conquered Wall Street. She is the woman who owned Wall Street for 30 years. She has been referred to as battle-tested. Carla once referred to herself as a seasoned, not old now, she clarified, deal-making gal. She's known as an influencer. She is a winner with a brand as authentic as it is audacious. But there is one thing that is critical to know about Carla, that is that her passion is helping others. Carla says we are blessed so that we can be a blessing to others. She announced that when she reached senior management, she would use her own experiences to share the tools and strategies necessary for others to move forward. Carla says, when you empower others, you maximize your own power. Carla has empowered millions through her speeches, through her writings, and in person. Carla is, as she indicated in the opening, a game changer. She says true leaders make leaders. And this is how she is a game changer. Carla changes lives by showing us how to thrive and survive in leadership roles and how to strategize to be the best leader possible. Carla's many pearls of wisdom, some of which I'm sure she's going to share with us today, help us power through setbacks, critics, disappointments, and obstacles. And I love this statement. Don't dim your light for anyone. Follow that advice as one who dimmed their light at one point in their career. She says, put your foot on the gas and go for it. When you're at bat, swing hard and look forward to the next time you get to swing if you miss it. Whatever you do, don't shy away. Carla is a powerful leader. She is chairman, managing director, and senior client advisor at Morgan Stanley. She has had extensive industry experience in technology, media, transportation, healthcare, retail, and communications. She has had the unique experience of taking companies like UPS and Martha Stewart Living public, including the $3.2 billion common stock transaction for Immunex Technology, one of the largest biotechnology common stock transactions in U.S. history. She serves on many boards, including Walmart's board and the Board of Overseers at Harvard University. She was appointed by Barack Obama to be the chair of the Women's National Business Council. What a game changer. Carla Harris is an inspiring writer. Her first book, Expect to Win is about authenticity and leveraging your voice. Her second book, Strategize to Win, the new way to start out, step up, and start over in your career, has much that we can learn from, but one topic that I wish I had known about, how to recover from setbacks. Where were you, Carla, in my career when I experienced setbacks? Carla Harris is an extraordinary speaker, whether she's speaking at the ATHENA International Leadership Forum or at the Global Women's Leadership Forum in Dubai, or the Catalyst Award Conference, or the Asian American Business Development Conference, or whether she's speaking at universities or whatever venue. Now, you heard some of her comments and messages in the opening introduction. Others include, being smart isn't enough. Be comfortable in your own self. Ask what success looks like. Own your power, and how to find a person who can help you move forward at work. Carla Harris is a celebrated leader, and she has won many awards. I'm going to just mention a few. In 2015, she was elected to the Hall of Fame in New Jersey. She has been named to the Fortune magazine's 50 most powerful Black executives in corporate America, to Forbes' most influential list, to U.S. Bankers' 25 most powerful women in finance. She's one of Essence magazine's top 50 women who are shaping the world. She is on Ebony's list of Power 100 and 15 corporate women at the top. She has received 10 honorary degrees. Talk about a game changer. Now, Carla Harris is an accomplished singer. She began singing at an early age, and at 13, she was singing on both a Catholic choir and a Baptist choir. While at Harvard, she sang with the Radcliffe Choral Society, a world-renowned singing group, the oldest women's singing group at Harvard. From that beginning, as a gospel singer, she has had 5 sold-out performances at Carnegie Hall. She's had a sold-out performance at Apollo Theater. She sang at Radio City Music Hall. She has 3 CDs from which she donated proceeds to high schools. When I heard Carla speak in New York, I said, I hope she's going to sing for us. I've got to hear her sing. It's such an important part of Carla Harris. Well, I'm going to take care of that for you today. I have asked Natasha to play a short clip of Carla Harris singing so that you can hear the power of her voice as well as how much she enjoys this part of her life. Natasha?
When trouble comes, I just call your name when trouble comes. All I do is pray when trouble comes. You make it go away. Oh, what a joy it truly is. When I'm in pain, you wipe away my tears when I'm in pain. I know you're always near when I'm in pain. You take away my fears. Oh, what a joy it truly is. Oh, what a joy it is to love you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it is to praise you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it is to worship you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it truly is. When I'm alone, you're there to comfort me. When I'm alone, you fill me with your peace. When I'm alone, you love me relentlessly. Oh, what a joy it truly is. Oh, what a joy it is to love you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it is to praise you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it is to worship you, Lord. Oh, what a joy it truly is. Oh, what a joy.
Now, if you enjoyed that, I want to suggest you look at YouTube and find one of the latest videos of a performance by Carla Harris. She performs the song, If Christmas Was the Way I Dreamed It to Be. One of the lines in that music is, if Christmas was the way I dreamed it to be, no one would care about race or creed. This performance brought me to tears, and it really put me in the Christmas spirit as well. You will enjoy hearing that. Carla Harris's remarkable life, including being the subject of a Harvard Business School case study, is already legendary. You can go to Google, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Wikipedia, TED Talks, read her books to learn more about Carla. What an honor it is to welcome Carla Harris, an extraordinary game changer, to the ATHENA Leadership Symposium. Our hope is that Carla's words of wisdom will be a game changer in your life today. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Dr. Harris, for being with us.
Hi, Carla. If you can hear me, you are live. Yes, fantastic. You are live, and Judy just gave a tremendous introduction. So we all are on the edge of our seats just waiting to hear from you. So welcome. We're so grateful.
Oh, outstanding. Well, I am sorry, Nika, about the delay in getting on. And I am happy to be here now and to spend a few minutes with you all talking about what I think powerful, impactful, influential leadership looks like in the environment that we're in now. And I'll tell you, if there's ever a time for powerful leadership, and the pearls, as I like to call them, my hard-earned and hard-learned pearls, the time is certainly now. We find ourselves in a context, frankly, where there's not only a lot of uncertainty, but there is a demand around transparency, authenticity, and inclusivity. And if you are like me and you grew up in a producer culture, that meant that you were not only compensated with outsized compensation, but frankly, you were given positions of leadership, authority, and managing other people's career without any thought as to whether or not you were the kind of person that could really motivate and inspire people to deliver beyond that which they thought they could do, or whether or not you were frankly the kind of person that could truly see opportunity amidst chaos, or whether or not you were the kind of person that could literally transform a culture amidst a tumultuous context. And that's exactly where we're in now. So what do you need to do, or how do you need to show up every day in order to be seen as a powerful, impactful, influential leader? And I would argue that you must be intentional. You must be intentional around 8 things. And those 8 things are as follows. Number 1, you must be authentic. Your authenticity is your distinct competitive advantage. Nobody can be you the way that you can be you. And the day that you received your current opportunity, somebody else didn't get the job because you were the best person for the job. So the last thing any of us should ever do is to submerge that which is uniquely you. Anytime that you're trying to speak or behave in a way that is inauthentic to who you are, that's when you create the competitive disadvantage, because you're using valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to really hear what your client might be saying, yet is not articulating. Valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to demonstrate a quick twitch response, and valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to co-create with that person on the other side of the conversation. As quiet as it's kept, ladies, most people are not comfortable in their own skin. So when they see someone who is comfortable and confident in their skin, they will gravitate towards you. They absolutely want some of that. If your success, like mine, depends upon your ability to successfully penetrate relationships, the easiest way to penetrate a relationship is to bring your authentic self into that environment. When you bring your authentic self into that environment, people trust you. And trust is at the heart of any successful relationship. This brings me to the second pearl of intentional leadership, and it's all around building trust. We are in an environment, frankly, where innovation is the dominant competitive parameter across all industries. And if you agree that innovation is the dominant competitive parameter, then you must agree that as a leader, you will go into territories unknown. And if you're going to go into territories unknown, as we are all going to go on the other side of this pandemic, people must trust you in order to follow you. So the $64,000 question is, how do you get people to trust you? And I believe the way that you build trust is that you simply deliver over and over and over again. I want to challenge you right now to think about the people in your life that you trust. Maybe you're thinking about the people that are taking care of your kids, or the people that are looking after your parents, or that one restaurant that you go to all the time when it's an important event, because you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the food is outstanding and the service is impeccable. Why do you trust these people? Because they have delivered over and over and over again. Anytime that I am trying to build a relationship with a client, I try to think of 4 things that I can do for that client before I ever ask for anything. And maybe the client has told me, for example, that they are a runner and they are an avid runner. So now I'm thinking, how can I create value around that? Because people will always tell you what they value. They will always tell you what they value. All you need to do is create a safe place and ask the question, and they will deliver into that expectation. And now you know what you need to deliver. So the client has said that they're an avid runner. So now maybe I'll go back to the client and I said, hey, oh, by the way, have you tried the new Nike shoes? I know someone at Nike that can talk to you about the kind of support that's in that shoe. Oh, by the way, are you going to run in the Berlin Marathon? I have friends who are already over there. Maybe I can connect you so that when you land, there's a community that you can engage with, because I understand that there's currency in connections. Or maybe I say, oh, by the way, here's an article I thought that you would like. Oh, by the way, I have a friend who's a great orthopedic surgeon, and every runner needs an orthopod on speed dial. I try to think of 4 things that I can do before I ever ask for anything. So by the time I ask for something, now the client is thinking, wow, I wasn't intending to give Morgan Stanley any of that business, but Carla's done A, she's done B, she's done C, she's done D. Maybe I'll give them a little bit of this transaction. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I need is a little bit of an opening. I can wiggle my hips through the rest of that and land and expand. But more importantly, they trust me enough to give me the shot. The next thing that you must be intentional about is creating clarity. Now, I know I've just made the case that we're all competing around innovation. It's the dominant competitive parameter, which means as a leader, you will go into territories unknown. But as a powerful, impactful, influential leader, your job is to create clarity, even when you cannot see. And when you cannot create clarity for the year, for the quarter, for the month, you should create it for a finite period of time. When you bother to take the time to define what success looks like, then I would argue that your team is motivated and inspired to deliver beyond that which they thought they could do. The 4th thing that you must be intentional about as a powerful, impactful, influential leader is creating other leaders. If you are choosing to sit in a leadership seat today, then you must be disproportionately focused on creating other leaders. That is how you amplify your impact within your organization. That is how you expand your organization's footprint. You lower your customer acquisition costs. You heighten the engagement that you have with customers, is by creating other leaders. You must remember, ladies, that leadership is a journey from execution to empowerment. This was a tough lesson for me because I am a natural executor. Left to my own devices, I will execute. I derive my joy from executing transactions and executing things that are on my everyday to-do list. But I realized that when I got to a seat of leadership, that the organization was no longer valuing the execution the way they were valuing my ability to motivate and inspire people to deliver beyond that which they thought they could do. That they were now valuing my ability to create opportunity amidst chaos. They were valuing my ability to actually transform cultures amidst a tumultuous context. And the way that I moved myself along the journey is I did 2 things. I invoked a little bit of baseball imagery where I said to myself, Carla, the outstanding executor, the person that has executed hundreds of capital markets transactions that have generated millions of dollars of revenue for the firm, she's standing on first base. But Carla, the person that can motivate people to deliver beyond that which they thought they could do, the person that could develop great leaders, the person that could hopefully create out of a blank piece of paper products that will hopefully become the bedrock of our growth strategy going forward, she's standing on second base. Well, Carla, you can't get to second base with your foot still on first. You must be willing to let it go. The second thing that really gave me the aha moment that helped me in my leadership journey is I heard my own CEO say that he focuses on only those things that the CEO can do. If there's anything that's on his list that anybody else on his team can do, they should not be on his list, because he focuses on only those things that the CEO can do. Translation in my mind, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, leaders. The next thing that you must be disproportionately focused on as a powerful, impactful, influential leader in today's environment is diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, it will not just happen. We are all vulnerable to unconscious bias. And if you do not have diverse thinking at your decision-making table, you will have a gap in your go-to-market strategy. I had the privilege of building a multicultural innovation lab for Morgan Stanley. 18 months into that journey, I looked up and my entire team was women. Not an ounce of testosterone to be seen anywhere. I knew immediately that I had a gap in my go-to-market strategy because I was missing an important voice at the decision-making table. I was very intentional about making sure that the next 2 hires were men. Here's the argument around the fact that you must be intentional around diversity. First of all, many of us on this call are working in highly competitive, dynamic, intense environments. And when you are in that kind of environment, we will all reach for the familiar. But as a powerful leader, you have to make sure that you are railing against what frankly is a natural tendency, or you will not be able to innovate. Because the business argument around diversity goes like this. If you need a lot of ideas in the room, because innovation is born from ideas, then you need a lot of perspectives in the room, because after all, ideas are born from perspectives. If you need a lot of perspectives in the room, you need a lot of experiences in the room, because perspectives are born from experiences. And if you need a lot of experiences in the room, you better start with a lot of different people in the room, because experiences are born from people. So you must start with a lot of different people in the room to get to that one innovative idea that will allow you to obtain and retain a leadership position in your industry. That's the business case around diversity. And I'll leave you with another thought around diversity. Most organizations want to believe, and they certainly aspire to be the employer of choice in their industry. But I will tell you that the dominant population in the workforce, millennials and Zers, and they care very much about the jersey that they're wearing. Those people who are boomers and Xers, yeah, we care about the training, we care about the compensation, we care about the career trajectory, the platform, but they care very much about the jersey that they're wearing. And they will not go to an organization or affiliate with people whose values are not aligned with theirs. And when I walked out of Harvard Business School in 1987, excellence in corporate America looked like 6 white men at the top. That's just what it looked like. So that I knew as a woman and a woman of color, if I wanted to play, I had to be comfortable being the first and the only in many rooms. But that's not what excellence looks like to millennials and Zers, who are now the dominant population in the workforce. They have seen women lead. They may have a mother in the C-suite. They may have a mother that's driving one of the highest profile nonprofits in their city or town. They've gone to elite schools where there's a smart Black kid on the right, smart Hispanic kid on the left, smart Indian kid sitting in front of them, and smart Asian kid sitting behind them. That is what excellence looks like to them. So if they don't see it, they will not join that organization. The next thing that you must be intentional about is innovation. As I said, it is the dominant competitive parameter. So you must teach your teams how to fail, especially in this environment, because if people are deathly afraid of failing, they will never reach far enough to truly innovate. And how do you teach people how to innovate? You teach them how to fail, and you celebrate the failures. When somebody takes a risk and it doesn't work out, you want to make sure that you applaud the fact that they took the risk and you underscore the learning from the risk that they took. And in my last two pearls that I want to give you, you must also be intentional about inclusivity as a powerful, impactful, influential leader. And the way that you show up as an inclusive leader is to solicit other people's voices. Solicit other people's voices. The next time that you pull your teams together, make sure that you are intentional about asking and soliciting a contribution from everyone on your team. If you do that 4 times in a row, the 5th time that you pull your team together, you will not have to solicit anyone's voices, because they will come to the table ready to contribute because you have demonstrated how much you value their contribution. And then lastly, ladies, I'll tell you, to show up as a powerful, impactful, influential leader in today's environment, you must be willing to call a thing a thing. Your voice is at the heart of your power. When you submerge your voice, that's when you become irrelevant as a leader. It is important that you call a thing no matter how bad it is. And in the environment that we're in now is not the time to appear that what's happening around us with the pandemic or the social unrest is not impacting you as a leader. Now's the time to give voice to the empathy. Now's the time to give voice to the uncertainty. Now is the time to give voice to the transparency that you're willing to offer as a leader. And as I close and go to your questions, I will tell you that the strand that holds all these pearls of intentional leadership together, it's courage. It takes courage to call a thing, as we all have been in meetings where we knew something should have been said and we just looked at our shoes. It takes courage to engage enough with people to invite them into a conversation by name. It takes courage at the end of the day to be intentional about diversity and innovation. It takes courage to create clarity when you cannot see, and it takes courage to create other leaders, especially if you are unclear of your own leadership trajectory. And it takes courage to build trust and to bring the real you into any environment. If you want to be a powerful leader in today's environment, you must both expect and strategize to win. And now I'm happy to spend a few minutes on your questions.
Okay, so it seems like we're having some issues with Deb not being able to be heard. And so, Carla, I'm going to step in because you have certainly deposited so many gems of wisdom and knowledge and inspiration. But I want to make sure that we do allow for many of the questions that have come forth by this audience. And so I'm going to start with a question. And here it is. Give us some ideas of how to handle setbacks in our careers, as certainly you communicated to us, there will be setbacks.
The way that you handle setbacks is, first of all, understand how you got there. You know, what transpired. And the thing that I would normally do is to say, what role did I play in this? What could I have done differently? Did I not have the meeting before the meeting? Or did I not socialize this idea beforehand and make sure that I got buy-in before I actually went into that meeting? So understand how you got there. Now take that lesson, put it in your tool chest, and move on. The mistake that most people make, Nika, is that they actually create baggage out of the mistake or out of the setback. And baggage is heavy. They continue to carry it around. Oh, I can't believe I did that. This is going to cost me, or I'll never be able to, blah, blah, blah. And that's not true, because there's very few things in life that are irreparable. So extract the lesson, put it in the tool chest, and then get right back on the horse to try again. And you will find that you'll have a higher probability of being successful, and successful before you thought that you would. Everything that happens in our career comes to teach us something. So you make sure that you get the lesson and apply it and invest it in your next try. There's no one in their career that has not made a mistake. Making a mistake does not make you special. What makes you special is how and if you get up.
I love that. Make sure you get up. Make sure that you understand what the lesson is while you're on that journey. I love it. Looks like Deb is back with us. Deb, do you want to do a quick test to see if we can hear you? Oh, yes, we can.
Yes, ma'am.
We can hear you, Deb.
Sure, thank you, Nika. Carla, we're thrilled to have you. So one of the questions that I see coming in on the list here, you talk a lot about failure and stepping back up again. Well, I'm going to ask it boldly. Tell us when you failed.
Oh, sure. I've had a lot of them over 33 years on Wall Street, but I'll give you one that was the biggest because it had the most lessons, frankly. I was pricing a transaction once after I just started pricing transactions, did not understand the concept of a naked short. And for those of you who may not have priced deals before, the way a naked short works is whenever an underwriter is pricing a deal for a client, i.e. raising capital for their common stock, instead of just selling 4 million shares, they sell 4.6 million shares, which is 600,000 more than what they're buying from the company to distribute to investors. And that can be taken care of through something called a green shoe. I can go to the company. If the stock goes up the next day, I can say, I have the right to buy another 600,000 shares from you at the same price. But if your deal is weak, i.e., let's say for a 4 million share deal, you only have about 8 million shares, that's a pretty weak deal, as opposed to 20 million shares for a 4 million share deal. And if your deal is weak, you have the ability to sell another 600,000 shares. That's called a naked short, because the only place I can buy that stock is in the market to cover that short. Because again, I'm only buying 4 million from the company. I can get 600 from them the next day, but I have to buy the other 600 in the market. Well, I did not understand what a naked short was, nor did I understand that you only do that when your deal is not in great shape. So the guy next to me had gone naked on Tuesday. I'm pricing my deal on Wednesday. I said, he went naked, I'll go naked. Huge mistake, because here's the problem. The stock went up and you have to buy the stock at where it's priced in the market. And that cost the underwriter, because we made the decision to sell more shares. Well, here's what transpired, Deb. There was a senior managing director who came in and said, what? She's gone naked. How could she have gone naked? That made absolutely no sense. Oh my gosh, this is going to cost us so much money. It might wipe out our profitability for this quarter. Oh, this is terrible. This is the disaster. Second day, he came in doing the same thing. Now I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this could be a career limiting move. Third day, he comes in doing the same thing. And I said, can I see you in the conference room? So we went in the conference room. I said, listen, I just wanted to talk to you because you've been talking about this for 3 days. So I thought that you didn't know that I knew that I made a big mistake. I clearly did not know what a naked short was, but I want you to know, I understand what naked, fully clothed, half clothed, I understand what all that looks like now. But I also want you to understand that when I make a mistake, it is the exception and not the rule. And I know you have my best interest at heart. So we don't have to talk about this anymore, right? And I will tell you, it was an important lesson, because what did I learn? If you don't know something, ask someone. There's no shame in that game. Number two, if you make a mistake, own it. And I should have been on the very public trading floor saying, oh, I didn't know what a naked short was. Oh, my goodness, help me pray that this stock goes down. Oh, I know what a naked short is now. I should have been making a big deal about it. You should never let anybody else own your narrative. The third lesson is when you see a bully, call him out. Because the minute that you say, I see you, you take away all the power.
But you know, if you had made that big deal on the floor, oh, I made this mistake, oh, look at me, don't you think people would have viewed you differently?
No, I think it would have actually been a source of power, Deb, because I would have said, remember what I said at the same time? Oh, I clearly didn't know what a naked was. I know what a naked is now. We got to get this stock down. Come on, guys, help me pray it comes down. I should have been making a big deal of it. I own the mistake. I clearly know what the issue is now, and I'm working on solving the problem.
All right. Very good. You know, I'm seeing some of the questions that come in, and one of them is the idea of, why do women still have to prove themselves when they enter leadership? I mean, by golly, we got there. We're at the table. What is this constant need to prove ourselves? And is that on us, or is that on those at the table?
Well, I would say early on, I like to take some of that responsibility, because here's what I say to myself. They may not have seen anyone like me actually lead. And they are also not in the habit of giving me the benefit of the doubt. That's okay, because give me a minute and you'll see, right? And then the trick is, after you've done that, Deb, not to feel like you have the burden of continuing to do that. Just continue to deliver your excellence. People will see it. Now, here's the thing. You can't always assume that they're going to tell you, right? And you have to be pretty good at giving yourself the atta girls. You know, I've gotten really good over the years saying, way to go, girl, that was outstanding. and the way I've thought about this, Deb, also is, why should anybody else's word be more valuable than your own? You know that when you've done a good job, you know that what you've done is stellar. It is always nice to hear someone else say it. I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, you have to know that you know when you've done a great job, and give yourself some credit.
Very good. You know, the other question that I see a lot of women who find themselves at the table is that self-talk. Can you give us some of the words of encouragement that literally took you from stage one to, as you like to say in baseball, a home run?
That's exactly right. Listen, the things that I say to myself, well, first of all, you know, the title of my first book is Expect to Win. Yep. So if I'm feeling any kind of way, any kind of trepidation, I sit there and say, come on, girl, expect to win. Expect to win, right? Because if you have expectations around that, you will deliver right into that. That's number one. If I have any trepidation about whether or not I could do it, I look at my own data. And everybody in this convening has a track record of successful first. Yes. And what you should understand is that if you did it before, you'll be able to do it again. Right. And then third, if that doesn't work, then you say to yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, that it doesn't work out. Well, if you're over the age of 21, you probably have had a failure or a disappointment. And guess what? You live to tell it. Right. So if you try, if you go forward, you're going to get one of two things. You're either going to get the lesson, you're going to know how to do it better, or you'll get the blessing of that which you were trying to do in the first place. Either way, both are valuable, and it's worth your try.
Very good. You know, it's funny, on my computer, I keep a list of prayer requests and a list of blessings, because sometimes you have to look at those blessings and say, you know what, good things did happen. Otherwise, right. You're like, you know, why me? Why me?
I love that, Deb.
Yeah. One of the other questions that has come through, you know, you and I sit here as powerful women, successful in business, in the realm that we're in. But we also know that we have some girlfriends, in a sense, who just don't see themselves in that position. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, I get a little tired of the whiny, poor me Eeyore routine. I'm trying to be more kind. My, New Year's resolution from the last 12 years is not to hammer people. But at the end of the day, there's a brokenness, Carla. How do we help others find their light?
Yes. I'll tell you that I am a very big cheerleader, Deb. Very big cheerleader. I love lifting people up and encouraging them. And so a lot of times what I'll do is tell their story through my eyes. I'll say, here's what I see. And I will tell their story, and they'll look and I'll say, it's not my story, it's your story. Now you have two choices. You can own it, or you can choose to refute it. And you know that I'm not going to blow smoke. That is not my thing. So if I'm telling you that, this is what I see. So why don't you own that until you can catch up in your own mind? Right now, if you want to feel sorry for yourself, I'll give you about 30 seconds to do that. But, I'm not your girl. I'm the fix-it lady. I'm Fanny Fix-It. So I'm going to help you fix it. Right. And then we go from there.
Very good. Good. You've had quite a varied career. One of the questions is, out of all of it, and we are going to make you give us one that you think to yourself, man, that was it. I love this part of my life. Whether it's singing or it's the writing or it's the speaking, which part of your career do you lay in bed at night and say, thank you, Lord?
Yeah, the speaking.
Okay.
The speaking, Deb. There's no question about it. And I've given this a lot of thought over the last 5 years. And I love Carla the banker, very proud of her. And I love doing transactions and deals. Carla the singer, I love to sing. But the thing that I have found that brings me the most joy is speaking and being able to give people tools that they hopefully can use to maximize their success.
And who gave you the tools?
The tools around maximizing I will have to tell you, a lot of them, the ones that I've written about and expect to win and strategize to win, I acquired the hard way.
So you didn't have a mentor or a relative or someone who said, Carla, you're rock star amazing?
Yeah, I will tell you, my parents always made me feel, Deb, that I was supposed to do well. But a lot of the tools that I write about and expect to win are things that I acquired when I was on the street. No question about it. In the hard way. And of course, I had mentors and sponsors along the way, and I give them a lot of credit. But those things that I write about are things that I did not know, and that things I learned the hard way. And those are the tools, if you will, to use the word for your question. Those are the tools that I realize have helped to make me successful. No question. And then on top of that, the whole macro is certainly the spirituality. There's no question. It's about whose I am and now who I am that made the difference.
Very good. If you were to give those who are listening, and we have a very large audience today, you need to know that they have signed in from all over. and to hear your pearls of wisdom. And the fact is that I love your baseball analogy. But give me the 3 tools that when it all hits the fan, you say to yourself, this is it.
Yes, it obviously it does depend on the context, but
Sure.
let's just say the context is a corporate context. And these are the 3 that I would give you. The performance currency and the relationship currency, understanding the difference between the two and understanding that relationship currency is the more valuable one. And the reason I bring that up, Deb, is that as women, we like to hug the performance currency. We like to make sure that the work is right, it's beyond reproach,
Right.
but we hug the performance currency to the exclusion of the relationship currency. And as you get more senior, it's the relationship currency that's most valuable. And I'll give you the punchline. While your performance may get your name on a short list that's being discussed behind closed doors, when your name is called, if nobody in that room can speak on your behalf, they simply go to the next name on the list, and it has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to do the job, but everything to do with whether or not somebody in that room knows you well enough to be able to say, oh, Deb, she's outstanding. Or Nika, our best client person, she's the one to give that tough client to. Notice there are no quantitative analysis or numbers associated with that. It's all qualitative based on the relationships that people have with you. And it is the rare instance that you will not get an opportunity because somebody doesn't like you, but you absolutely will not get it if people don't know who you are. And then the other one is all about taking risks. You have to be willing to take risks. You can't be scared. You can't be scared, as I like to say. And you must remember that fear has no place in your success equation. Anytime you approach anything in your life from a position of fear, you always underpenetrate that opportunity.
Explain underpenetrate the opportunity.
Meaning you fall short. You don't actually, you don't get the full fulfillment of whatever it is you're going for. So let's say you want to go for an opportunity where you have a shot of being a senior vice president, but you're a little bit afraid of asking for that role, asking for the compensation that is associated with it. So yeah, you're a VP, but you could have been an SVP if you had said, that's what I really want to do. And tell me the 2 things that need to happen to make that an easy decision for you. And oh, by the way, I want to make sure that I am compensated at the highest level of that seat because I'm going to deliver the highest value that that seat requires.
You know, I think you bring up a great point about relationships. It seems the higher we climb the ladder, we kind of close in with the girlfriends and that network that we have. And that idea of constantly reaching out and constantly, in a sense, putting ourselves out there to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and letting people know what we do. I've always been surprised when you ask people around the room, do you know what they do? Do you know what they do? And the answer is usually no.
Right.
So how can we help women find the tools to advertise, express, explain, and encourage with what they do that makes them successful?
Yeah, I will tell you, Deb, that is a matter of practice, right? Yeah, because people are not used to clanging their own bell. But I would also tell you that it's a matter of being intentional. Because if that's not your natural thing to do, then you ought to say to yourself, I'm going into this luncheon. There's going to be 100 people. My goal is to make sure that I meet 10 people and understand not only who they are, but what they do and whether or not there's any points of connectivity. And I'm going to tell 5 or 10 people what I do. So if it's not your natural inclination, because I have a girlfriend, for example, she can walk in a room of 500 people and she's pretty much going to know what 490 of them do by the time she walks out. That's not my strength. I can walk in that same room of 500 people and I might get to 10, right? Unless I leverage my strength. And my strength is I'm an executor. So if I make it a goal, something that I have said I want to do, then I go in that room and I get it done. So that's why I use the word intentional, because for a lot of people, that's not their natural inclination. But if you tell yourself as a leader, I should have a natural curiosity. And if I'm not curious because I'm so busy executing, now I'm going to this thing intentionally and I'm going to be curious about people. What do? Why did you do it? Why did you come to this conference? How many times have you been at this conference? You know, what is the favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about the conference? Any of us on this call can generate 5 questions that we can ask of someone else, if you think about it.
Sure. Where did you find your network? I mean, I know it's at work. It's probably where you worship. It's probably a social club or 2. Is there anywhere else that you would encourage this next generation or my generation, the gray hair generation, to keep going out? It gets a little old, I have to admit it.
Yes. But you know what? there are networks that are available to you through the people that are already in your network.
Yeah.
So Deb, you don't always have to go out in order to make it happen. Everybody has a network. So if you and I are friends and we happen to be talking about something, I could say, oh, Deb, I can introduce you to a couple of people. Right there, there's a follow-up, there's a to-do. And these are people that might now be in your network or might introduce you to someone else. So you frankly don't have to work that hard of going to this event or going to that networking event or going to that conference. You can actually think about the relationships that you have that chances are you have underutilized and underleveraged and go right there, to actually harvest.
So I'm going to be real bold and ask you to please explain to our audience that it doesn't put anyone down when they lift someone up.
Oh.
Because you and I both know that people say, well, if I tell them about this, maybe I'll miss the job. Instead of all of us coming together. I see it all the time in business. It's like somebody doesn't want to tell the secret. Well, there is no secret. So please, once again, just give us that word of encouragement that there's room at the top for all of us.
Oh, there absolutely is. I am not a fan at all, Deb, of sort of the queen bee syndrome. You have no idea how much your power grows when you give your power away. And as women, we should all be focused on trying to help each other, because you never know when that's going to come right back to help you. I gave an example recently. This was, well over 25 years ago. 20 years ago, there was a good friend of mine who had an opportunity to take a role that her inclination was not to take that role. But because I had been in a similar role in my organization, I sat her down and said, you must take this role. Here is why you want to take this role. Here's how you can leverage it on the other side. Make a long story short, she ended up reporting directly to the CEO, which put her in a position to actually get promoted 2 years early and a year before I was promoted. Now, I could have said, there's no way I'm going to give her the keys to the kingdom, because I wouldn't want her to get promoted before me. That doesn't work, blah, 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 blah. But that was crazy. If I had information and experience that could help somebody else, absolutely. And she did get promoted early. And this happened to be another woman of color. I was promoted the year later in my organization. But this woman now was in a position to be able to help a lot of other people, even before I was. So we have to use everything that we have, our intellect, our experience, our relationships, on behalf of other people to help them to advance. And I can't tell you how many things that I have done for the first time since using my capital and my currency in that way, where I could have used some help and people were right there at the ready. And there's no doubt in my mind, it was because I used my power on behalf of my network simply because I could, that when I needed it, it came back to me. So we cannot be in the business of standing in the way or pulling somebody else down.
Yeah, we can't shout that enough from the mountaintop. I got to tell you, it's unfortunate, but it's a message that we constantly have to talk about. So a number of the questions that have come through, besides your books, is there a book that changed your life? Or when you think to yourself, boy, that author has a new book out. I just picked up another one by Seth Godin. I mean, every time he writes something, I read it.
Yeah.
So is there a book or books that you would encourage anybody to read?
Well, I will tell you the book, you asked the question, what's the book that sort of changed my life? And the one that did was called Transform Your Life by Reverend Dr. Barbara King. Unfortunately, she just passed away earlier this year, so she won't be writing any more books. But I'll tell you, Deb, the reason why that book continues today amidst all the other books that I've read to be significant in my mind, because it changed the way I pray.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let me go to the next book then. What's another book?
I like a lot of Maxwell books, John Maxwell books. I read a lot of T.D. Jakes. I read a lot of Joel Osteen. And
so you stick more to the spiritual side.
I do. Absolutely. And Joyce Myers. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if we were to move you to the business side.
Yeah, then that's John Maxwell. I read a lot of his leadership books to compare and contrast what he says about leadership and what I say about leadership, because we obviously have two different lenses. So I like to see the thoughts about leadership from the other side.
All right, so this is not a trick question, but it might sound like one. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you did something for the first time?
Oh, that's easy. Zoom. Zoom. If you had asked me what Zoom was in March, I would have thought about the Aretha Franklin song, Who's Zooming Zoom? Aretha Franklin and George Michael. So that was sort of the first time I did something for the very first time. And then probably a couple months ago, setting up the Zoom on my own.
All right, very good. One question that's come up a couple times is, how do you find the person who can help you get ahead?
Oh, sure.
So how do you look out to the world and say, that's the one, or two, or three, or four?
Yeah. So that's really edging on the sponsor conversation, right? And the sponsor is the person in your organization that's carrying your paper into the room. That's the person that behind closed doors will argue passionately on your behalf that you're the one this year that should get the promotion. You're the one that should get the outsized bonus. You're the one that should get the next great opportunity. Make no mistake, this is the person that is doing that for you. So the question is, how do you identify a great sponsor? The sponsor must be within your organization. They must have a seat at the decision-making table, and they must have the juice, i.e. the power, in order to get it done. So what I say to people is, get a blank sheet of paper, and I want you to study your organization for 2 weeks. And you just figure out, who are the people in the organization that really have a respected voice, that have a seat at the decision-making table, that also have real power? Who are the people who are toxic or who have no power? Who are the people that don't have a seat at the table, but they are key influencers to people at the table? That's one piece of paper. The other piece of paper, now, who are the senior people who have a seat at the table or not, that have exposure to my work? Because your sponsor needs to have exposure to your work, because they are going to use their currency on your behalf behind closed doors. And if people know they have no interaction with you, they will have no credibility behind closed doors. Now, the third piece of paper is, where do they intersect? Who are the people that have, visibility into your work? And who are the people who have a seat at the decision-making table? Now you're probably going to have overlap with 2 or 3 people. Now you should start to build sponsored-like relationships with them.
Interesting. So what if you're like, I own my own company. I sit at different tables, but I don't really have anybody to look at within my realm. Where's that next set of eyes go?
But you too, I would argue, Deb, have a sponsor, because if you own your own company, somebody is opening a door to make an introduction for you to a potential client, or somebody is referring someone who could work on your team, or somebody is going to introduce you to someone who could invest in your company, or a banking relationship as you think about expanding. So no matter what, even as an entrepreneur, there is somebody who's going to use their currency on your behalf that's going to make a difference, again, to your customer set, to your revenues, to your ability to access capital.
So let's dive deeper. What if, as a person, maybe young, maybe inexperienced, your currency is in the negative? You messed up. People know it. How do you get currency back?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, as I said earlier, you own it. And again, everybody makes a mistake. So do not have shame in that game. Own the fact that you did it. Get the lessons out of it. And now when you're going back to, let's say, specific people, and I'm a big fan, Deb, of going person by person,
really?
If you can, especially the key influencers. You go back and you say, Deb, I made a huge mistake. It is very clear. And I'm clear on why I made that mistake. I made that mistake for the following 2 reasons. Now, I'm going to ask you humbly for an opportunity to earn some of that back. Here's my intentions around what I think it's going to make sense, but I want to try that on you. Do you value if I A, B, or C? Or you tell me what you value, and I am going to earn your trust back. I'm going to earn my currency back because I'm going to deliver. That is how you earn currency, is that you deliver consistently. And I'm a big fan also, Deb, of creating a report card where you can underpromise and overdeliver. So I say to you, Deb, don't worry. I'm going to have that to you on Thursday. And I endeavor to have it to you by noon on Wednesday.
I tell you, if somebody were to come to me and say, I messed up, forgive me, let's start over, that would build that relationship. And that puts it a whole lot further ahead than performance.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. That humbling of yourself is hard, though, you have to admit.
I don't think it's that difficult at all,
Really?
because we're all people, right? And as I said earlier, there's nobody walking around that hasn't made a mistake. And that's what I think we have to own. Making a mistake is not the thing that makes you special. How and if you get up. And the reason I said if is that you'd be surprised how many people don't get up after making a mistake. They allow the thing to become baggage, and baggage is heavy, and it will create a competitive disadvantage. And more people than you know are held back by the mistakes that they made. And they don't want to take those risks again. They never reach far enough again, and they impede their own ability to be successful and to fly.
I heard a quote a while back. If you carry the bricks from your broken past relationship into the new one, you're still going to build a broken house.
Oh, that's powerful.
So a question has come through. Carla, what is a setback either in your professional or personal life that changed or marked your life, but it made you stronger and defined you even more? Is it something you could share?
Absolutely. I'll tell you, the first time that I did not get promoted, I was crushed because it was the first time in my life, and I was very young in my career, that I didn't get something that I was supposed to get on time. This is supposed to happen after this, and it didn't happen. And again, the way that I manage these kinds of things, as I had said to Nika, is I step back and I say, what happened? What role did I play? And there were a couple of things that I had done wrong. Number one, I moved in the middle of the year. Well, obviously, you know, the people that you're moving from, they are not going to spend any currency on a promotion for you. You're no longer working with them. And the people that you're moving to, you're the new girl on the block. So why should they spend capital on you versus the people they already had there that they need to spend the capital on? So timing is important when you make those kinds of decisions. And then when you are making those kinds of decisions, to have the conversation up front around your expectations are also critical. And so often we don't want to have those conversations because they feel uncomfortable to have, and we just go right in. And that is not the way to do it, especially when you're talking about decisions around your career. So once I owned that and realized what I could have done, then the next thing was to decide, now, are you going to walk around and be embarrassed and hold your head down and say, oh my gosh, everybody's looking at me? Or are you going to take your grandmother's advice and say, honey, you are not the first and you won't be the last. Move on. And I decided I would do the latter, Deb.
So what's some other advice your grandmother gave you?
Oh, she told me, and one of the things I talk about all the time, she said to me, whatever you be good at it. And, you know, her message was, if you're going to bother to do anything, give it your all. Give it your all. And it is the same message that I give to young professionals today. I said, whatever you're going to bother to do, leave it on the floor. Leave it on the floor. Sometimes your best will not be good enough, but you will always have the satisfaction of knowing that you gave your best.
Very good. Good, good. All right. Listen, we have so enjoyed our time with you. I know that it's valuable, and I'm going to hand it back to Nika. Thank you for joining us. We're so grateful for your time and talent, and we wish you great success.
Well, thank you so much, Devin. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yes, let me just echo what Deb just stated. You have really deposited so much into this community, Carla. We feel so much better off for it. One of the statements you made was your power grows when you give it away. And you have given us not only some of your power, your influence, and your wisdom, but we hope that you're going to find that it's just going to take you to a new level and blessings upon blessings for you. And so I want you to know that a part of this audience, we're not just women who are already quite accomplished in their own roles in organizations, but we also have emerging leaders, including some young students from Legacy Early College. And I just want to acknowledge them because I'm sure they have really enjoyed hearing from you as well. You're such an inspiration. Yes, fantastic. And so thank you again to our presenting sponsor, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're so grateful for you for continuing to partner with us and see fit to give voice to this important effort of advancing women's leadership and board service. And so we're grateful for that partnership. I also want to extend appreciation to all of the ATHENAs. You heard from a couple today throughout our program, but there is so many others. And for those of you who were part of the pre-show, you were able to see their names and hear a little bit about who they are through the pre-show PowerPoint. And so we appreciate each of them and their involvement. Deb, I'm so glad that the volume worked for you, because I don't know of anyone that could have more eloquently held that conversation with Carla. And so you're so gifted at what you do, and I'm so glad that you did that. And as I think about the introduction, what was a tremendous and incredibly generous introduction. I think we all need a Dr. Judy Prince to kind of prep us before going on the stage. That was awesome, Judy. So thank you. Thank you kindly. And so with that, we are now adjourned. Thank you all so much. We look forward to continuing to engage with you. This is being recorded, and we will make sure that we share it out with all of those who registered. So thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.